6:30. All right. Good morning and welcome to another Friday morning safety meeting. It's the 4th of April and we're already well into spring, even though Mother Nature doesn't seem to know. But anyway, the code item of the week this week is to speak and act supportively of ECI as a company and of our workers. Mr. Dow.
That doesn't mean that we can't have the tough conversations that are necessary every day. We just need to do that in private when we can, and not make a spectacle of things out there when we're in public and when other people don't need to be involved. So I don't want everyone to think that they can only say good things about each other. If you have to say bad things about each other, we need to do it, but do it in the right place at the right time and think about it first.
Thank you, Ben. Safety news are 58 days without a recordable, 35 days without a first aid injury, and 15 days without a vehicle incident. Let's keep getting those numbers up and up and up.
What were those? 58?
Yep, 35 and 15.
35 and 15. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, today we're going to talk about lithium ion battery safety.
Sorry, Tom. I don't think we're not syncing with our slides. I don't think, at least on my end.
I still see the code
right
on mine. I didn't know if it was my.
1 second.
Yeah. Sometimes mine sticks, so I didn't know if it was mine or everyone's.
Yeah, I don't think we're synced with you.
Technology. There we go. There's your numbers. Oh, that's why I asked, because I couldn't see them.
All right. Today we're going to talk about lithium ion battery safety. So for those of you that don't know, we had a lithium ion battery catch on fire at a job site a couple of weeks ago. The guys handled it well, but it's one of those things that we want to talk about, prevention and that sort of stuff, and the best ways to handle it if they do catch on fire. So what is a lithium ion battery? Lithium ion battery is a type of rechargeable battery that uses reversible lithium ions and converts them into electricity.
We still see the safety slide. I'm still looking at the safety slide. I'm sure you have other slides. Sorry.
This is weird.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry about that, Tom.
We'll get through it. We'll get through it. Let's see. Actually, I'm going to try to do share. I'm going to try doing it a different way.
There. Now I see something exploding.
Okay, do you see what is a lithium ion battery now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hit the next slide over first, and then come back to it, just to make sure it tracks right.
Yep. Is it tracking right?
It's staying on that one slide.
We'll crawl through this.
Okay.
So lithium batteries are used for everything from your headphones to your watch to your cell phone, tablets, laptops, any hybrid vehicles, electric vehicles, and obviously in power tools. So let's see here.
It looks pretty violent when they catch fire too.
Yeah, so when like lithium ion cars catch on fire, even like a hybrid, it can take 50 to 100,000 gallons of water to put it out. So it takes a lot of water.
Tom, do you want me to just?
Yeah, do you want to share on yours?
You want to drive? I'll drive real quick.
Yeah, so you want to drive.
I assume those batteries are in our Priuses.
Yeah.
Pulling them up like now.
A whole bunch of them in there.
Working for you?
Yeah, I just gotta get it on the right screen here. You guys see that now?
We got it, Matt. Thank you. Good. There you go, Tom. Now try. There
All
you go.
right, we can go on to the next slide here.
Yep.
All right, so the main hazard associated with lithium-ion batteries is fire and explosion. They are self-oxidizing, which means that they don't need air to uh, burn like most things do, and they're very difficult to extinguish. And also, something important to remember is the smoke that created by that fire is very, very toxic to us. We'll start with hallucinations, and then it'll go all downhill from there.
Oh, well.
The next. All right, so we're gonna talk about fire prevention. We regularly want to inspect our chargers for signs of melting or malfunction, discoloration, darkening around the probes, and that sort of stuff. You want to routinely inspect your batteries for signs of damage, any gouges, cuts, or other compromises to the outer layer. If it's squishy or something like that on the outside, you want to immediately take that out of service. And when you do take these out of service, you want to take them out of service somewhere very safe. So you don't want to just stick them in your truck. You want to take them, if you're working in a parking lot somewhere, you want to leave it outside until you can get to the tool crib. And from there, once it gets to the tool crib, we should leave these outside if they have been compromised. You want to utilize inherently safe batteries if you're working in hazardous or sensitive areas. So you can see over here on the right side, they have a little shield and an arrow. Those batteries are going to be much more much less susceptible to fire and stuff like that. Immediately take any malfunctioning battery out of service in an area away from flammables or combustibles. You always want to maintain good housekeeping in your work areas, just because anytime that you have bad housekeeping, it can make one problem into a lot of problems. So you always want to use the right battery for the job. I don't know if anybody's ever put like a 5.0 battery into a skill saw or something like that, like big skill saw, but they get hot really quick. So if you notice that your battery's getting hot from what you're doing, you should probably step up your battery and use the right one. The other thing too is you don't want to be doing things like jump starting vehicles and stuff with these and sticking wires into the slots and things like that. Only use them as they're intended, and you only use the right battery for the job. Go to the next. All right, so we're going to talk about firefighting with these. Any extinguishing efforts are going to take a lot. When I say a lot, I mean thousands of gallons of water generally to put out a fire. Obviously, that's not in the cards for what we can send out with the crews. So what we're going to recommend is more of a defensive mindset with these. So if it's so sorry, oh, it's back. So the goal is just to prevent any spread of fire. So what you want to do is you want to take the battery if possible, and you can do any of these steps without making it dangerous for yourself. You want to take it to an outside location. You want to utilize fire extinguishers to prevent the spread of the fire. But if you're putting fire extinguishing agents on the fire itself, it's not going to put it out, and you're just wasting fire extinguishing agent that you could use to prevent the spread of the fire. So, grassy areas and stuff like that might get going. So you want to be able to put those out. You want to call 911, and you want to avoid breathing any of the smoke. I know we had one recently in the fire department dropped in a bucket, which is great, but if you don't have the proper PPE on, you don't want to be taking the risk of dropping those in a bucket of water. So, like I said, just let it burn, keep the area around it from catching fire. Do so from an upwind area. So do not put the battery in any natural body of water. So if you're over a river or lake or something like that, don't just chuck it in the pond. We're going to create a massive environmental issue for ourselves by doing so. And that's a thing that we don't want to take on, right? We don't want to waste our fire extinguishers on the battery itself. Save any extinguishing agents for the surrounding areas. Do not wait to call 911. And do not leave the battery unattended, even if extinguishment is achieved. So the batteries can reignite for several days just spontaneously. So I've seen anywhere from 3 days to 7 days that they can reignite. So down and dirty, I believe that's the last slide.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Scary, scary stuff when you don't see it happen for about 10 years and then one actually catches like this. But good
Yeah.
response by the team, and thanks for the info. And we'll try to be a little bit better with our response regarding just not wasting fire extinguishers on it and being more like you said, a kind of a passive approach. Let it burn and just keep it from catching anything else on fire.
Yeah, it's just like if you show up to a house fire in a neighborhood and the house is just ripping, they're not going to put any water on that house right away. They're going to put the
Yeah.
water on the houses next to it to keep those from catching on fire. It's the same mentality.
Yeah.
And it's amazing
And
how
then,
much potential these little batteries have.
yeah,
It's
it's
pretty
pretty
scary.
wild. And then we'll
Okay.
just do our best to stay up on inspection, like you said.
Yep. So as the crews head out today, it's a good morning to just go through and take a look through your trailer, check all your batteries. And if you have any issues, just bring them, like I said, bring them to the tool crib. And tool crib, I'm sure, is listening. Just store them outside. If they have an issue, just put them in a plastic bag and store them somewhere safe. So
Call you. You can help us out.
absolutely.
Okay. Is my screen now sharing on the email
Yep.
of the week? Okay. Thank you, guys. So, lithium batteries. Let me get this thing moving. Okay, I got some announcements this morning. Transfer tank, fuel tank cards. Those are the tanks, the 110 gallon tanks that we have in the backs of the pickup trucks and the other um, different trucks that have a transfer tank for mostly off-road fuel. Those are going to have their own card, which I think we talked about that also last Friday. And Sarah has the cards. It has the truck number on it. And Sarah will give you a good explanation of how those work. Just come on into 98 and see Sarah for that. If you didn't get the right size shirt on last Friday's kickoff, when you get the shirt, come see Sarah. Trade your shirt in for the correct size. She does have some different sizes. 401 there are 401k meetings this morning. There may be a few appointments left. If anyone's around this morning and they want to go up and talk about the 401k with the Morgan Stanley financial advisor, she's going to be up there this morning. Give Melanie a call, see if there's any appointments left. The next ESOP meeting will be a week from today, April 11th, and it's going to be on Friday from 2 to 3. There was some requests by some people to try to have some of these meetings on a Friday. So right now there's one scheduled from 2 to 3. Give Aaron Markle a call or an email. Her information is here. Thanks everyone for last Friday. We had a great turnout. I popped a couple of pictures in here of the event in our group photo down below, which is pretty impressive. So this morning I wanted to talk. I know Kenny's been gone for a long time now, but we lost Ken Munson back in November 2023. He worked here at ECI from June in 1998 through the time that he passed away. So he's 25 years plus. I took this from their original email of this little saying here. We're going to miss his personality. He was a true Vermonter that held our attention with his looks and gestures, as well as with his words and actions. Anybody that's ever interacted with him, he was a great person to work with a pretty awesome sense of humor. His family just finally got the mount of the deer. A bunch of ECI employees got together and donated the funds needed to get this deer mounted. So I got this picture and figured everyone would love to see it. So there's a little plaque on there, and you got Richard or Adam, you can chime in or correct me if I'm wrong. I think the plaque says Ken's last buck. And that buck, he was probably pretty proud. He always was proud when we got a deer, but this one was harvested on the last day that of his life when he passed away. So that's pretty special to have everyone get together and donate for that. And I'm sure that the family is very pleased to have it. Anybody have anything? Okay, thanks for that. Here's a good one. This is like I got some more at the end, but there's a good picture of Ken. I don't know what he's thinking, but it's something's. He's gonna say something in a minute. It's a selfie. It's a Ken selfie. So thanks to everybody that donated to that. I think that's pretty special. Project of the week. McKinney, are you on today? I think I see you
I
there.
am. Yep.
Would you like me to try to drive this for you?
I'll drive.
Okay. You want to share it?
Yeah.
Okay.
How's that? Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool.
We got it.
Yep.
All right. So today we're going to talk about our Fairley project, REW 4330. So this project, it provides for the replacement or the reconstruction of an existing stone box underneath the Washington County Railroad in Fairley, Vermont, in addition to construction of a new pipe next to the existing box, along with cast in place concrete head walls. So pre-construction, you get this old failing stone box, inadequate capacity for modern, storm flows. But the problem was it had been battered by a storm or a series of storms. So the state got FEMA funding for it. But the problem is FEMA took a liking to the box and they said the box has got to stay. It's historic. It's very significant. As you can see, you can make your own judgment as to whether you think it's significant and worth saving. But this FEMA thought so. So in addition to putting a 7-foot pipe next to it with cast in place head walls and wing walls, we needed to save this. The problem was it's falling apart. So we've got to rebuild 25 linear feet of it, which is a good chunk of the box underneath the tracks. So that's the job. Looking at plan view, the state's plan. So that existing box is right here. You can see 5 feet on the inlet gets rebuilt, 20 feet on the outlet gets rebuilt, and that's right next to, here's this new pipe next to it, and the cast in place concrete, the footings are dashed and the wing walls are solid, scribed right into the block. So you're getting way into the bank with the work. So the existing box is 2 barrels, 4x4 each, and the outlet invert's about 23 foot below the rail.
Wow.
Here's the job's not done, so we might do one more of these at the end, but we well on our way. Here's a sneak peek at what it looked like after the shutdown. So what makes this challenging is, like I was alluding to, is it's a steep slope from the tracks down to both the box and the new concrete construction around the new pipe. So you either got to dig it all out and do it really fast, or you've got to have a bunch of excavation support so you can cut back that bank and maintain trains on a relatively narrow slice of dirt while you do all your work, and then eventually reconstruct the slopes after. It's also 1,200 feet from the nearest crossing, so it's what we would consider a limited access job site. There's really nowhere to get there. There's no practical way to build a road. Certainly no permitted way, no practical way we felt to build a road, through private property to get to the job site. So at bid time, we developed a schematic approach to SOE to try to plan and ultimately price the work. And, that was to get this SOE so we could do the work, the cast in place work and the box reconstruction, on our timeline while trains passed without, conflict. After bid time, we said, geez, would it just be easier to change this to precast and use the 96-hour shutdown that we had and just try to get this thing done really quick? 96 hours, which is, thousands of yards of excavation, build the pipe, set precast, rebuild the whole box, bury it all, put the track back. We felt we could probably figure out the precast. The dirt work we were fine with, but ultimately rebuilding that box to the historical standards that the contract required made us really nervous to do with so much other work during a short shutdown. So we stuck with plan A, and we developed an excavation support system to cut those banks way back and get our work done. You can see this is the final this is the plan view of the SOE system with Brendan's stamp on it. So just to give a section view, so because the limits of culvert reconstruction come so far in, especially on that outlet side, that requires you're taking most of the embankment away, and so you've got this really narrow portion of embankment remaining below the tracks that's supported. So all the dirt in yellow is gone, and that's what remains. And so that created some challenges with the really high loads from trains, and then also unbalanced loading because there's more soil on one side than the other. So we mobilized in late February, cleared the job site. There's quite a bit of mature wood on the job site, flooded the tracks, and constructed outlet access roads to the inlet and the outlet. The track's all flooded, just dump stone up to top of rail so we can get tracked equipment and highway trucks out there easily without damaging the tracks or getting hung up. Here's the guys, they've got it mostly cut off now. They're mostly dealing with brush in this picture, chipping a bunch off to the side. That was before it was flooded.
Mm.
Is the site nice and cleared on a sunny day? Is the scrolling going all right, Ben? Is it keeping up with me?
Yep, we're looking at the chipper.
Good.
Yep.
Here's one of the two access roads. Good size, cut to fill, but nice smooth grade. Worked fine to get the lattice boom crawler down there. You can see some waste block for widening to get that crawler out there early to get some early sheets done. So ahead of the first shutdown, which was intended to get the pipe in, uncover the box, and get a lot of the SOE elements started. But ahead of that, we did some sheet driving, stockpiled select materials, and got all the SOE stuff on site. See the guys driving sheets here.
Cool picture.
Yeah.
Wow,
There's
those are
the
long sheets. 40s?
I don't think
30s?
they were maybe 30s.
Yeah.
You see the 138s on the far side of the job there, so that's where the waste blocks came in, was to get the crane across the narrow section across the culvert to the far side. Often we'll use a tele crawler for stuff like this, but the guys made it work with the lattice boom here. Probably felt pretty big in that situation. So the shutdown took place over the weekend, starting Thursday, March 20th at 6:30 a.m. and ending Sunday, March 23rd at 5 p.m. So the first thing to do was to remove the track and dig. So we were able to get highway trucks through the flooded ballast, although using high rail trucks also worked fine. It was high rail only on the side the 380 was on. There's no crossing anywhere nearby on that side. So part of excavating was to dig the hole for the 7-footer, the 7-foot pipe, which we were putting in during the shutdown, but also to carefully expose this fragile dry laid stone box culvert so we could drive the soldier piles and excavation support elements next to it without caving it in. Driving it from grade has a little bit of a risk because you don't really know the extent of it, how irregular the stone is on the outside. There's the stone box starting to be exposed with some of the sheets that we had driven prior to the shutdown. You can see it there. The capstones are carefully cleaned off.
Wow.
Here's cut to subgrade for the 7-foot pipe next to it. We've already driven some soldier piles. Again, these are retaining. They're going on each side of the stone box to retain the soil above it. So the placement's critical. Here's the rest of the soldier piles driven. Right up tight to the box, and then on either side of the soon-to-be location of the 7-foot pipe. Base course of tie rods. So there's 3 courses of tie rods. So in the sheets, we actually will have drilled tie backs, but in this phase, there's no room to drill the tie back and get the bond you need in that narrow slice of embankment. So what we did is just we drove them, and we just built tie rods right across as we backfilled. and then installed the wood and steel lagging on the way up as well. So 3 courses of tie rods from side to side, rigidly locking those 2 sides together. So we set the new pipe, the contract section, which is pretty narrow, and then also some extension sections that will allow us to put the brook in the pipe. That's kind of the reason we phased it like this. We wanted to put the brook in the new pipe so then we could rebuild the old box in the dry. So you can see we've got the contract pipe, polymer coated corrugated metal here.
Yep.
But then also you can see plain CMP on the inlet side here. That's not contract. That's just part of our dewatering and bypass plan. But we had 7 footers left from a job, so came in handy here.
Cool.
You can see some of the initial backfill placed and compacted with the trench roller here. It was a good tool for the job. You can see some sheets driven off those early soldier piles, and then trench box shields used for the main span over the box culvert here. Compaction and chinking with the pogo sticks under the invert.
It's like good soil to work with.
It's very sandy, yeah. It
Yep.
was good. So here's on the way up, the pipe's being backfilled. There's the second course of tie rods there, going soldier pile to soldier pile, just either side of the flange, and then welding in stiffeners. Or sorry, either side of the web.
Wow.
Going up higher, just hemlock lagging. I think that was 5-inch for the big span over the pipe, and then 4-inch for the smaller spans, and then the short spans like under 5 feet were 3-inch. All green, all hemlock, pretty heavy, good stuff. So above the trench box shields, we use just H piles to lag the rest of the way up. You can see setting one of the last H pile lagging sections on the far side with the wood lag and the tie rods all complete, and continuing to backfill to grade. So here's this section of track won't be rebuilt again. So here's geotextile under ballast, and there's a select materials on top of that, ballast, and then track. Here's compacting the ballast, almost ready for the track. Here's the track reconstruction, tie by tie. One big brace that we put in, that was part of the design. More so to brace that last pile than to support the long span. Surfacing.
Mm-hmm.
Is that brace getting welded in? And the final product from one of our security cams. So after the shutdown, the crew continued to install sheet piles and tiebacks in addition to testing and locking off the tiebacks. So the rest, so tie rods during the shutdown, but the conventional sheet pile systems without an element across from it was just a conventional grouted tieback. See, tieback testing, and these are pretension. So not only are they test, but they're jacked and locked off under pretension.
Yeah.
Tieback installation. We used these C900 sleeves for an unbonded section because you want to grab the soil back away from the sheets, not right up tight to the sheets. More tieback testing, where we're using dial indicators to measure deflection and creep of the tieback under load. More tieback testing. Everybody's pitching in. So we'll develop a temporary channel and cofferdams, put the flow of the brook into the new pipe shortly in anticipation of starting the box culvert reconstruction on or around April 10th. And we plan to start wing wall and head wall concrete construction later this month. Hope to be mostly done with the job in June, with the exception of access removal and punch list.
Nice.
You can see the footing layout. So skidder bridge over the brook to get to the other side. Here's our cofferdam. You can see one sheet pulled up to let the brook still go through the box, but ultimately when we start box reconstruction, we'll drive that sheet down and finish our temp channel. It'll come through here through the pipe.
Through the pipe, yeah.
And then here's the guys bringing cut stone block to the job for the reconstruction. Fun fact, we're sourcing the replacement block from the Bridge 501 pier. This is the big bridge across the White River, right in White River. It failed during Tropical Storm Irene, and ECI supported CCS in replacing it. They replaced it with a brand new pier, so all this block was on site, not used. We were simultaneously doing a bunch of other Irene projects at the time, but 14 years later, most of it was grown up with trees, but we were able to fish a bunch of these blocks out of the bushes there on site and reuse them for this job. So pretty cool.
That's awesome. You want to keep sharing?
Sure, yeah, from the archives.
So thanks for doing that, Ben. That was good. Those are one of those jobs that none of us, a lot of people don't ever get to see, especially when it's way down the track down in Fairleigh. So yeah. Here's some pictures, some more pictures of Ken Munson since I was looking for photos and I wanted to show these. The first one, I think that was around 2004. And that's Ken in his glory, sitting doing what he did the best. I think the next one shows. I wanted to prove that he was in the. He always had those. I could always tell that was him because he always wore those aqua shirts. He's the one shoveling in the trench box. So I don't know if that's Colby with more hair or not. In front of him. There's a good one. That's a good one. Looks like it's over at the U-Mall. Getting ready to do something. I had Ben, I think McKinney had this one of Ken hanging out with our senior man, Roger Atkins. So they were friends. They had a good different way. They could communicate old school too. And here's the best one. If you guys worked with Ken, that look preceded something that would be a gift for the day of his communication.
He was definitely about to give someone shit here.
Oh yeah. He was going to say something smart.
Yeah.
It was probably something to the effect of, yeah, I'm not going to do that. He would always say that he wasn't going to do things, but he always did them.
You think that plan's going to work? Oh, yeah.
Anybody got anything else to say or think? It's good. What a character. We're going to miss him. And we do miss him.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot. Good job. 7:03. So good timing today. A lot to do today. So good luck and be safe out there. Tom, I'll let you wrap it up.
Yeah, have a great day. Have a safe day. Have an awesome weekend. And if you watch in a group setting, please send over your attendance. Thank you.
Thanks.